Welcome to the Nausea River podcast. I'm Theo Morgan, and I got this creeping feeling that the hardcore scene is better than us. As metalheads, our music has the riffs, but the hardcore kids have crazy fun shows, and ultimately, a heart of gold. It's always hardcore and stuff in the general punk sphere that are doing all the benefit shows, from discounted tickets if you bring a can or items to donate, to raising money for friends who've fallen on hard times, to raising money for more global causes. Sometimes it feels like metal is falling behind. But it's not like we're all jaded and greedy in metal either. You just have to look a lot harder if you want to use your genre for good. One band I thought of was Agriculture, a post-black metal band from California. Granted, they have a pretty untraditional background for a metal band, with most of their members coming from the noise and punk scenes, but it still counts. They had a short tour with Regana over the summer where some of the proceeds went to the UNRWA for aid in Palestine. And they did a December show to benefit Gender Justice LA and My Friend's Place, the latter being a nonprofit focused on youth homelessness. I've never heard a bad thing about Agriculture as people, but if I have to break new ground, they didn't respond to my request for an interview. It was a little ambitious. Maybe next year. Buy Living is Easy. It's a nice little EP. Nausea River is not a huge venture, so I went down the ladder until I ran into Maidenhead, a death thrash band from Walpole. They released the Decapitation of a Maiden EP last year, and it's pretty good. I might not like thrash metal on its own or in its most classic forms, but add some harsh vocals, rougher production, and the death thrash label, and I'm sold. And I'm excited for Maidenhead's upcoming full-length out sometime in 2025. They're a promising band, but new enough to justify working only for themselves. And yet, I heard about them through an upcoming show at Kodo in Salem, one where the proceeds go to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So who besides me in metal cares? All right. All
All right.
right. So I'm Theo. Who are you?
I'm Zack. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And what do you do in Maidenhead?
I play guitar and do backing vocals. I'm heavy on songwriting.
Meet Zack Roberts, guitarist and main brain behind Maidenhead. It would be very nice to interview a complete band one day, but you need to be grateful for what you can get. So sit back and see what this small band wants to accomplish for themselves and for others. Nice. I have a few questions, open-ended, ripe for discussion set up. But I always start with, how did Maidenhead start?
So, Maidenhead started quite some time ago, around 2013. I
Oh,
started
okay.
writing some of the material for the first release, and then just took a long time to get a group of people together. And I didn't have a car for quite some time, so just pretty much that. Writing for a while, and then getting the right people. Released the EP in 2023. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty big gap then.
Yeah. It was quite some time.
So what was that process like?
I mean, I wrote a lot at home just by myself, and then eventually I linked up with our drummer Andre, probably around 2017, and we started fleshing some of that stuff out, getting the songs finished, and then pretty much from there we were just auditioning certain people for other members in the band, um, and then yeah, now we're here.
Cool. So I mean, 10 years between like forming your band and EP, it is wild. Like, and you say that those songs have kind of existed for a while, right?
Yeah, some longer than others. Like
Yeah,
Cabin in the Woods was probably the first song that was written.
yeah. Do you feel like how much do you feel things change in that time? Like, does it feel? I know, like, if I let like a writing project go too long, there's just like too much like scope creep with it.
Mhm. Yeah, things definitely changed a lot. And I think along with that, the more you're practicing that material as well, the better your skill gets.
Hmm.
So I think the material benefited for marinating for so long. And definitely stuff like speeds of songs, tempos definitely changed a lot throughout that time.
Would you say they went like faster or slower or?
Probably faster a little
Okay.
bit, yeah.
Yeah, because like, I listened to the EP because I tried to do my research.
Yeah, I
It's good.
appreciate it.
It's a good EP.
Thank
Um,
you.
if you were slowing down from that, it'd be a bit you started out a bit a bit
Yeah,
ambitious then.
yeah. No, it's got to be faster. All the new stuff we're working on is mostly faster than anything that was on
Okay.
that. So just ramp up the speed.
Anyways, what are your short-term dreams? We'll get into long-term ones later.
Just to pretty much get a new release out, hopefully by summer.
Oh,
We're
okay.
hoping. We're hoping. We have a bunch of material we've been working on.
Mhm.
I'm demoing out a lot of stuff. We have, I think, two songs that the band has completely finished, as in everybody's learned it. I have a couple finished songs that I haven't brought to them yet. So that's the big one. For shows, we'd like to get on more festivals in general. So that's probably the biggest short term thing show wise is more festival stuff.
Yeah, do you have, like, a dream festival or
I mean, the Dream Festival would probably be a Wacken Festival in Germany, but
yeah,
that's definitely a
yeah, okay, it's like the really generic answer.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's true. I'm very
Yeah.
German, so I would love to
Have you,
go there.
like, tried to contact RPM Fest or something?
Yeah, we just did that
Oh, you did?
in
How was
August. Yep.
it?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Awesome experience. We played first and got a really big crowd out at 12
Okay.
in the afternoon, so that was kick ass.
Yeah, 'cause I do feel bad for, like, a lot of, like, opening festival bands, because I think it's, like, even worse than being an opener at a regular show. You're getting, like, the thinnest crowd imaginable.
Hmm. Yeah, it was pretty solid. We got a group picture at the end. I think is on our Instagram.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
So I didn't do my research. I'm awful.
nah, that's all good. It's pretty
Yeah,
recent.
actually, yeah, I interviewed, earlier, like, a month ago, I interviewed band Glacier, and they were also at RPM Fest, and
Okay, yeah.
they said that RPM Fest, treated them really well.
Yeah, I agree.
It was
It was awesome vibes the whole time. Just a lot of familiar faces too, so it was really fun.
how big is that festival? Like, how many attendees?
Hmm, probably not the best at gauging
Okay,
visually.
fair.
Definitely probably 1,000 people around there.
Okay. Yeah, because RPM Fest has kind of been on my bucket list for a while, but it's just, like, logistically annoying for me.
Yeah, yeah,
I'd have to do it with someone else,
hmm
and I'd have to
yeah.
get I've, like, heard mixed things about, like, if you can have dogs there and how fun it would be with my own dogs.
hmm I think you can. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I've li
Yeah,
I've little ones, though. I
yeah,
have,
true.
like, 2 little chihuahuas who aren't the best behaved.
Yeah, true.
I don't know if they'd necessarily be having a great time out there, so that's always like, for any show, that's a really big consideration for me.
Yeah, and then it's really loud like the whole time. So
Yeah. I mean, since you're talking about getting a new release out, we're talking, like, another EP or a full album or
this would be a full album.
oh, cool.
We're shooting for 10 songs.
Nice. And I is songwriting, like, more collaborative now that you have more people?
Yeah, for the most part, some of the stuff I've written on my own has been just me so far, but two of the songs that the drums are already recorded, so those are coming out first. We're gonna probably do two singles. Those songs were more of a team effort altogether.
Okay. Do you do the lyrics as well, or is
I
that, like, your
did I did for the EP. Uh,
okay.
for the new stuff, it's gonna be a collaboration. Our singer, her first language isn't English, so she wants to kind of write melodies and I kind of write lyrics to her melodies, so kind of half
Okay,
and half.
that's fair. What is her first language?
It's Chinese. She's a exchange student at Berkeley.
Oh, that's very interesting. I mean, I've listened to, like, a little bit of Chinese extreme metal and, the language actually you can make the language work. It could be interesting. But in terms
Yeah,
of, like, writing between those 2 languages, nah.
yeah. It's certain translations probably don't line up for her with what she might want to convey.
Yeah, and there's, like, a whole art with, like, translating lyrics. Like,
Mhm.
from what I've heard, it just often doesn't work. And if you can
Yeah,
do it, you're probably wasting your talents.
yeah, and I don't think she completely wants to be hands off with that. She's at one of the songs that we finished that we have been playing live too. She wrote probably like the last section herself,
Oh,
so
nice.
I don't think it's completely, but probably yeah. a
Oh,
good bulk.
definitely excited to hear it.
Yeah, it should
So
be out next month.
nice. Oh, next month. Okay, so this counts as like a promotional episode. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
But the other thing I wanted to promote when I first found you is because you're playing that show on January 18th at Kodo
yes.
in Salem. And it's a benefit show for, can you describe the charity?
Yeah, so it's the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And all the proceeds will be going to them, which is awesome. I really appreciate working with them. And Kodo suggested them to us. I
Oh,
wanted
okay.
to find a charity relating to that topic, so they're the
Hmm.
ones who told me about that foundation. And yeah, Kodo helped out a lot with this, giving the venue for free.
Oh, wow. Do they do a lot of these, like, do they work with a lot of bands that want to do benefit shows, or is it just like they knew about the charity?
I I think they've done some before, but I don't know how frequent.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with things like in northeastern Mass, so
Yeah,
um I
honestly,
w-
same.
yeah, I'm more of like a Boston Central Mass girl.
Yeah, same. Boston to Rhode Island. It's my area.
Yeah. I know a little bit about Rhode Island too because I do have some family down there, but
Mhm.
yeah. But like my big thought with it's the idea of like can music be used for good and like how have you seen that in your life?
I mean, that's completely why I wanted to do this, was to take something I personally love doing, and hopefully being able to help other people from that. And I'm just happy that it's extreme metal music. Um, and I don't like booking shows personally, but if I can do it for charity, I'll do it a million times over. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Have you done it before?
I actually have one other time years ago, like 2017. There was a DIY spot in Providence called the Funky Jungle, and I had a uh, food for the homeless at Christmas time kind of concert.
Okay.
That was pretty cool.
There was going to be a segment here trying to deconstruct the politics of metal, if it has them at all. What unifies metal is the sound. Following a sonic experiment started by complete accident, Black Sabbath started the genre, and while they certainly had politics and opinions, they didn't spearhead a unique movement from them. Take away the distortion and give Tony Iommi his fingertips back, and they're four hippies from Birmingham. On that note, it's very funny seeing early live footage that still exists of them where Ozzy was a natural blonde wearing a fringe jacket. But I don't think I'm qualified to speak off the cuff about it too much, so here we are. Ending it with do the right thing and don't give your money to NSBM, National Socialist Black Metal for people who haven't gotten their brain fried. Like, we can't even all agree that Inquisition can't riff their way out of Dagon being a Nazi pedophile. Like, pick a struggle. What the fuck are we doing? I don't think metal molded my ethics and moral code or anything. At most, it spoke to me as someone who certainly identifies as progressive, but still comes off as an offensive, apolitical meathead compared to the rest of the left wing. And to be clear, I've met plenty of metalheads who are communists, who are socialists, who are really passionate about queer liberation or veganism or disability rights. It's not incompatible. Clearly, people take different things away from the same scene, or, God forbid, interact with a variety of people. It just makes it hard to say I want to do good in a metal way. There aren't metal collectives or mutual aid networks. The most we got is that Hearing Aid single. Before I started this podcast, I really thought I would make a killing doing cooking live streams or a recipe Instagram, neither of which really launched. There might not be a cause stitched into the tapestry of metal, but we all lead rich inner lives, even if I seem very one note sometimes. I love food. I love the ins and outs of fussy preparation and also meal prepping absolute slop. I have really strong opinions about olive oil, chili crisp, frying onions, and a tier list of leafy greens where chard and spinach go to die. It's a hobby, but it fuels us all, so when people are deprived of food, it's one of the most primal forms of cruelty. Because of that, I'm asking for listeners to consider two charities this winter: World Central Kitchen and Community Servings. World Central Kitchen has gotten lots of attention for their work in Palestine over the past year or so. They've had volunteers killed by Israeli forces and still continue to cook for the Gaza Strip despite that. But it would also be an injustice to ignore the work they do in other conflict zones like Ukraine, as well as feeding those affected by natural disasters. They will always have work to do. And Community Servings is a Boston based nonprofit that started out providing prepared food to HIV and AIDS patients in Boston and expanded to providing prepared food for the chronically ill of Massachusetts. It sounds niche, but their scope covers everything from HIV to cancer to even high risk pregnancy. While you do have to privately apply and qualify for their program, it's the sort of service that any of us are vulnerable to possibly needing. I've linked the websites for World Central Kitchen and Community Servings in the episode description. Check them out and give what you can. Or even check out other shows at Kodo. They tend to benefit charity more often than not, and a variety of causes too. Cancer, arts collectives, you name it. And the lineups always rip. Wish that Salem and Lowell weren't a pain in the ass to get to by train. Hopefully, Zack has set a good example. Set some extra time aside and get a commuter rail weekend pass. Yeah. Yeah, around Christmas, that's when I see like the most bands doing things like, you can get a discount if you bring a toy for Toys for Tots, or
Yeah.
discounts if you bring in food, stuff like that. But like I don't notice it as much with metal. Like, I follow enough hardcore bands. I see a lot of hardcore bands doing it.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I
like,
definitely think metal should do
definitely,
it some
like,
more.
yeah. And, like, they're definitely, like, sibling genres in a way, but I feel like politically they definitely converge a lot,
Hmm.
even if they don't necessarily mean to.
Yeah.
And do you think so it sounds like you think metal should be concerned with doing good. And I also agree. I don't think it's like integral to the music or the ethos of metal, but I think if people have the power to
Yeah.
do something good with their platform, they should.
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of kids growing up who get into metal, that's their outlet for a lot of the issues they have in their lives. So I think what better way of if you really get into that and you're a musician and flipping that around and helping other people with that.
Mhm. Are there any, like, other examples you can think of from your time, like, where you've seen metal do good? It can be even more abstractly, like, I'm just curious.
To think about it. I mean, I'm sure I have. I just have to
That's fine.
think for a second. I know there are various benefits. Oh yeah, actually, recently I think Sammy's Patio in Revere, before they closed, they did a benefit for what's going on in the Middle East. I think they
Mhm.
donated a lot to that. So it's cool that they were helping out.
Yeah. I've heard of a few metal bands doing that, notably, like, it was ones that, like, were already associated with, like, very leftist scenes
Mhm.
through other reasons. Didn't seem, like, as inherent to metal, but,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I think there's a lot of eyes in the Middle East right now, and for a good reason.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. So, you say that you're familiar with, like, the Boston to Rhode Island scene, like,
Mhm.
what do you wanna say about it? I wanna know more about Rhode Island because, like, every time I try to talk about metal in Rhode Island, someone says there isn't much metal down there.
I
It's
mean,
just like
there is, but it's not as packed as Boston. And I
yeah.
mean, we've also played a lot in New York, and I think both areas don't draw as much as New York does. But I mean, there's still scenes out there. I think Rhode Island is more kind of like punk grind stuff. And
That's why I hear like, everyone says, "Oh, there's, like, punk in Rhode Island, but there's not metal." It's
yeah,
just like, yeah, it's I think what's hard for me, I know that, like, a lot of your venues have closed because you lost dusk,
yep.
and one of my friends says that the Boiler Room's closing.
I
Is
think
that
it already
true?
did. I think it
Oh,
already did.
no.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
which was pretty much all Dusk people
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, so that definitely doesn't help, and, like, I guess what annoys me, and I know it's small, like, Alchemy has metal shows pretty frequently, but it's, like, always on a work night
Yeah, yeah.
or,
Well, yeah,
a
they're pretty
weeknight
much it.
for yeah. And it's just like, I need to take the train. I can do if I would take the like for me getting the train down to Providence means going to Boston and going to Providence. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm not doing that on a weeknight.
Hey,
I do
understandable.
it
I
on a
mean,
Saturday. Like I do it on a Saturday. I would love to support a venue down in Providence, and I'd have a free place to stay because I just stay with my brother. But it's
well, I think they do some weekend stuff, but probably not
it's not a ton
super
because I think
consistent.
they often have they often have recurring stuff on Saturdays like dance parties and
Yeah.
stuff. And like I mean, for getting butts in the door and getting money, like yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna blame you for that at all.
Yeah.
It's probably a bit more lucrative.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, if they keep doing that, maybe they'll get to stick around for a while.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I am hoping because I definitely respect that space quite a bit. Um,
Yeah, I think there's
are there any like Providence-based bands you would want to recommend to the podcast?
yes. Ancient Torment is awesome. Witch King is awesome. We're playing Alchemy with them in February,
Oh,
the
nice.
21st. That's a band I've known for Witch King. I've known
Hmm.
them like 12 years or something like that. Uh,
And what genre are they?
they're death metal. I forget what they wrote on their page. God, like what's the term? It's like a obscure subgenre of death metal.
Like, what do you say? Like, if you were to say, like, oh, for fans of like, what bands do you compare them to?
I'm not really sure. To me, they're kind of like the only band in that said subgenre. It's kind of like they describe it as bestial. They're kind of like that only band
Oh,
I really
okay.
listen to in that direct style. I'm a big old school death metal guy. They're a little different than that, but I
Yeah,
really like them.
I'm gonna quickly look them up just so I can edit the clicking sound out of here.
Sure.
So, Witch King band. See if they're on the Metal Archives.
Oh yeah.
They are Warwick, Rhode Island. Um,
Yeah.
so Metal Archive says they are blackened death metal. Yeah. Um,
Like kind of like war metal elements.
okay, that actually might be up my alley because I do appreciate some more metal.
Mhm. I could be slightly wrong. That's diving into
Yeah,
territory I'm not crazy familiar with, but I think that's what I was looking for.
yeah. Yeah, depending on how I know I've said like, oh, it's so hard to get out to Providence on a weeknight, but I'll have to consider that one.
Oh yeah, they're great. Another band that's playing that night is Infernal Occult. They're kind of, yeah, I'll recommend them too. They're
Okay.
kind of a newer Providence black metal band. We played with them once in June. They kick ass.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, because like for stuff that like I listen to, I'd say like, oh yeah, I'd probably listen to a little more black metal than death metal. But
Mhm.
live death metal is a lot more fun.
Oh yeah,
With
yeah,
black metal
I agree.
shows, like I'll still go to them, but you do realize it's like kind of just cross your arms and nod music.
Yeah,
And like I can't really mosh, but I like seeing people have fun.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, no, I'm too old for that now.
Yeah, I got like a plate in my arm now, so if I get
Oh, that's
hit
really
too
bad.
hard, yeah, no, I can't do it
No,
anymore. So,
I was in a pedestrian accident, so that
jeez.
ended a lot of my fun. But still tried I still try to enjoy stuff. Just like I have to adapt. I have to adapt for whatever happened.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, no, I
absolutely.
got yeah, basically just got like three of my discs are pretty. Yeah, there's three discs in my back
Hmm.
or neck. It was not a fun time.
No, it doesn't sound fun.
Yes, I can't headbang.
Oh, that's the worst.
Not well anyways. I've looked at footage of myself. I've looked at footage of myself like I've gotten caught in candidly and I'm like, "Oh, I look so pathetic." But if I explain it, people will understand.
Hey, well, you're trying, you can bob a little bit.
Yeah. And my sense of rhythm isn't great, but that's why I'm a podcaster, not a musician.
Hey, you're having fun, That's what's
Yeah,
important.
exactly. No, it's good to hear about Rhode Island metal because I think what I've found is like I think every place has some level of a metal scene, at least in the
Mm.
US.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. There's bands everywhere.
I used to think like, oh, there's no metal scene out in my neck of Central Mass, and then it's just like, and then you actually like, as long as you meet one person in it, you start to uncover like, oh, they're in like five bands.
Yeah, that's also the issue pretty much everywhere is everybody is somehow intertwined with everybody else. Well, most of the time, like my drummer's in like six bands or something.
It's always
So
the drummers too, because
yeah.
they're in demand.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, and bass players. My bass
Really?
player, yeah, my bass player has been. He's not in a ton of bands now, but he's played in like countless bands.
I don't know why I thought bassists were more common. I thought like maybe just due to the fact you don't need as much like visible equipment as a drum kit. Because
Mhm.
like if you're a drummer, like there's that barrier to entry where you need space for the kit, and
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess you need a certain amount of physicality. Although once once I heard someone say that that playing an instrument is like honing your body like to play a sport. I finally realized, oh, that's why I was never good at playing an instrument. I'm really unfit.
Yeah, no, that's true. And at least for me, anytime I'm playing, like I get like really hot. So
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, you kind of are honing into that.
Yeah, and then I understood why like a lot of male musicians will opt to be shirtless on stage, or at least like enough for you to notice. It's just like yeah, it is physical, and you got these hot stage lights, and like if you're lucky, 100 people breathing on you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All the people packed in one, most of the time, small room. It gets really,
Yeah,
really hot.
yeah. I used to think it was like the quantity of people, but I was at a show at the Middle East upstairs last weekend, and like it was 100 people, and it was stuffy. Like I was I was sweating like a pig.
Yeah, I think
Like
that
I'd
place
take
specifically. Yeah,
Yeah, and like I've been cold in there before, but I think maybe it just depends on the energy too, because like I've been cold in there, but it was like for another like cross your arms and nod black metal show.
yeah. Oh yeah, that and it
And not for
fits the cold weather with cold
yeah,
vibes.
yeah. Um so just to be specific, where are you based out of? Like what town?
Uh, I am in Walpole. The drummer is in Walpole, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Um,
I mean,
singers in Boston. Everybody's
okay.
all over pretty much.
Okay, so I can picture that then. Like when you said Boston, Rhode Island, I'm like, okay, maybe I want to narrow it down a bit.
Yeah, actually, me and the drummer are like right dead in the middle of Boston, Providence, and
Yeah.
then the bass player, guitar player, they're in Rhode Island, and then singers in Boston. So that
Okay.
one big line.
Not terrible.
Yeah, it's doable.
Yeah. Does like Walpole specifically have any bands? Or is it
Not anymore, really. I mean, my
okay?
my drummer's other band that's on hiatus, Lotus Eater Machine.
Mhm.
They're pretty cool. They used to be called Geistafar. They're kind of like uh, math grind stuff.
Interesting. I definitely have to be in the mood for that.
Yeah, it's definitely some interesting stuff.
Okay. Ah, I'll check it out and like I'll probably just like place a bunch of the Bandcamp links in the
Cool.
episode description when this comes out. All right. Any more thoughts on the local scene or
Specifically in my area, not really. Trying to think. I mean, I'm a definitely a huge fan of. I mean, it's not really local, but a lot of New York bands we've been bringing up here from playing with them down there.
Oh, okay.
One band, Final Siege, we've brought them up here a couple times. They're awesome, like thrash death metal.
Okay.
Then Electrocutioner, those guys played a few shows with them, a couple up here. Awesome thrash, speed metal stuff. I definitely recommend those bands. They're some of the best in the game, in my opinion, right now.
That's cool. So like where in New York have you played?
We have played in Queens and Brooklyn. Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering if it was like the city or if it's like Syracuse.
No, actually, well, we did do Middletown.
Okay.
Yeah, we did that once. Yep. Yeah, that was definitely pretty far out there. I had no where that was, but it was a cool venue. It was like a half bowling alley place, half venue, so you could just go bowling
Okay.
after.
It's actually really funny
Yeah, that was cool.
because yeah, I was having a discussion with friends about like the worst place you've seen a band live, and I actually didn't have too many weird stories. Like the closest I could think was I told my brother I was going to a show at AS 220 in Providence, and he's like,
Mhm.
"They have shows there,"
Yeah,
and they do. Like, it wasn't just a one off, but like he's mostly heard of it as like an arts and dance kind of place, and like
yeah.
I looked at their calendar, and I mean, it's not totally wrong.
Hmm. Well, I've noticed like a good amount of shows. Not, I mean, maybe not like every week, but I've gone there for quite a few.
Yeah, I went there for, the Evening of Dark Arts showcase in
Mhm.
Providence. They have it every May. It's usually, like, a lot of black metal and doom metal and stuff like that, um, or just general dark music. It's a pretty good time, though, and the tickets are usually really cheap.
I think is that the same thing? Did they move that over to Alchemy?
I don't think they moved it to Alchemy. I think that they're scheduling next year's. It's still at AS 220.
Oh, okay, I was just thinking of it's another similar.
Yeah, I do notice, like, a lot of showcases. Like a lot of good metal showcases in Providence, at least, like, where it'd be, like, 5 bands on the bill.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like, yeah, that's not a bad way to do it. Just
No,
wish it was easier
agreed.
for me. Maybe one day I'll get a car.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to take the trains all the time, and I definitely don't miss the trains. But
I
that's
like I think I like the train when it makes sense. So, like, going to Boston, it makes sense
yes,
because I just live near a train line.
yeah, I agree with that. I don't like driving into Boston. The parking
Yeah,
situation, even if you have a car, is a nightmare.
yeah. So, when you said you played in Queens and Brooklyn, which places were they, just out of curiosity?
So we did the Wild Goose, and then we did what was it called? Gold Sounds, and
Okay.
that
I think I've heard of Wild
was Brooklyn.
Goose.
Yeah, Wild Goose is like a really small Irish bar, but the guys from Electrocutioner booked there a lot, and there's a lot of good shows. Last show we did there with them and Final Siege, they got this band De Solace to play, and they're coming to the Middle East in January or February. I can't remember. They're playing with Nunslaughter.
Oh, I gotta look it up now because
Yeah,
like
that's
I'm trying to fill out my show calendar.
yeah.
Because boy,
That band is awesome.
I haven't thought of Nunslaughter in a while.
Yep, they're coming around.
Gotta tell my viewers.
What's
So
that?
I gotta tell all my listeners
Oh
about
yeah.
this. Yeah, March 2nd. No,
Okay,
that's March.
March.
No, that was last year. Not last year. This Earlier this year,
Mhm.
February 1st, 2025. Upstairs. Okay. But no, that sounds like a really good show. And will you be there?
Most likely, unless
Okay.
something comes up, but I probably will
Yeah.
be. I want to
Yeah, 'cause
support those guys.
I don't wanna, like I don't wanna say harass everyone I interviewed, but, um, I think it's cool when I see people from the local scene at shows. I was at O'Brien's a couple nights ago to see some of my friends, because
Mhm.
I'm friendly enough with the band C out of Boston.
Yeah, did they played RPM too, right?
Yeah, they did I think
Yeah,
some year.
I think they
I forget if it
played
was
the same year as us. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I know they've played it, but, like, I didn't quite know the year, but, they're at O'Brien's with a few other acts, and, like, I'd say, like, it was 30 people and half the audience is just like, "Oh, I've interviewed you before, haven't I?"
Hey, that's a cool thing though.
We keep seeing each other at the same damn shows. And, like, that's why I like the most about getting more in touch with the local scene. I let
Yeah,
like, even if these people suck, you don't wanna talk to them, you kind of are forced to anyways.
yeah. At some point, I mean, if you're in close quarters at a place like
Yeah.
O'Brien's, yeah,
Yeah, and, like, I think it's in a place like that, it's a little less intimidating. because it
Mm.
can definitely be easy to just want to, curl up in a corner, um, you know, and just be on your phone until the next act comes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll keep that Middle East show in mind, and of course, seeing you in January at Kodo because I
Yes,
do.
much appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of good causes out there. Um, would you say there's any reason why this one sticks out to you
Yeah,
besides?
there's a couple reasons. I had my best friend had passed away a couple years ago, and it's
Mhm.
not that wasn't 100% the reason, but I mean, I'm not gonna get into detail. I'm pretty
No.
concerned that was part of what happened. There's that, and uh, I mean, I think that's a cause that's very overlooked a lot of the time, and I think most people don't think of how other people are feeling until it's probably too late in a lot of situations like that. So
Yeah, it feels like a lot of people think about it, but not very deeply.
yeah, and
That's just my experience with it, but still here.
yeah, I think I don't know. I think if somebody reaches out, somebody else will listen, but
Mhm.
not, I don't think it's taken as seriously a lot of the time. Where I this is just a hard subject, so I'm sorry, but
No, I realized I was probably opening up some wound asking it, but, like, I think maybe it's good to, like to say, like, why something matters, so people are more compelled to try and
I agree.
what
It's just hard to get
to
the right words, I
Oh, yeah.
guess. Um,
Especially, like, when it feels like everybody has someone they've lost that way, but, there's it's hard to know what to do. Like, I can say, like, yeah, we need to have better and deeper discussions on this, more resources. People are struggling. Then anyone asks me to dig deeper, I'm like,
yeah, I definitely think people should keep an open ear for stuff like that and not overlook it. If something's really hard for somebody that they're going through, don't overlook that. Be a good friend to them.
I think that's really a really good way to look at it.
Once again, thank you to Zack for his time.
Any closing remarks?
Well, I appreciate you having me on. Hopefully next month or early February we'll have probably 2 new singles out.
Oh,
We're gonna
nice.
probably release them at the same time or just a few weeks off of each other. So be on the lookout for that.
Yep. And, like, do you have a date for the new album yet, or not?
We don't have a date because we're
Okay.
still in pre-production writing some of the
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
I think there's.
I don't know how planned out it was yet, but that's fine.
We have a lot of ideas. There's probably 5 or
Mhm.
so songs that are almost done, and then a lot of ideas for the remainder 5. But shooting for it to be released in the summer. Gonna probably have it mixed and mastered, like finish recording maybe in March.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Um, I'll definitely keep an eye out. I'll
Appreciate it.
I'll probably tell all my followers about it.
Thank you.
And yeah, in the meantime, listen to Decapitation of a Maiden.
Woo!
Yeah, it's a good release. Title track is probably my favorite.
I think that's my favorite too.
Okay,
That's a good
cool.
one.
Okay, I'm not totally lame then.
No, it's one of them. That's a good
Yeah,
song.
yeah, it's yeah, for all my viewers, it's solid death thrash.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and the best kind of thrash. Just my opinion.